Today I'm going to show you everything I've learned so far about what you should and shouldn't do to build your LEGO army. Before we get into some specific examples, we need to take a look at the bigger picture here to determine a couple of things. To start with, I want to ask you a question. Why are you army building? No, seriously, why do you want to do this? Why? Why? If you can't answer this question, you probably shouldn't be army building. It's pretty likely that you're going to end up being unsatisfied. So let's run through a couple of whys real quick. Because I wanted a LEGO army when I was a kid and now I'm older, I have money, so I'm going to fulfill my childhood dream. I'm a hoarder. I'm collecting a certain quantity of figures for a mock. I'm an investor. I think it'll make me happy. I'm getting the figures now while they're cheap so I don't have to spend more money later. I want to set a world record for the largest minifigure army. I have so much money, I just don't know what to do with it. If you want to army build, I actually think considering the why is the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, lining a whole bunch of minifigures up on a base plate just to look at them is not going to bring you lasting happiness on its own. So just keep that in mind.
You need to leave!
Come to whatever conclusion you want about what I said. I just want you to think about it for a second before we get going here. Alright, so now that you've got that figured out, let's get to the first actionable step. As my 6th grade geography teacher used to say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I don't remember the context he was using that in, but it's a good quote. It stuck with me. You need to set some goals. How many figures are you trying to get, and what's a reasonable goal that you can set that you can achieve with your budget and your timeline? I'm going to use my experience as an example here because, well, that's what I've got. So last year, I set a couple of goals for myself. I knew that I wanted to get between 100 and 150 501st clone troopers. I also knew that I wanted a similar quantity of the plain phase 1 clones that came out at the beginning of 2022. I wanted these figures because I had a few large scale mocks in mind, and I also knew that somewhere around that quantity of figures would give me the ability to make what I wanted to. I'm going to be announcing a mock series very soon here on my channel, so make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on that. I'm going to be using some of the clones that I got over this last year, and it's going to be a pretty big project. So back to army building. Setting a goal gave me a stopping point. It gave me an idea of how much I was probably going to have to spend, and it allowed me to start focusing my efforts. This part is very important because it gives you a target to hit, it stops you from overspending, and it helps you figure out what methods you might have to use to get to where you want to be. Your budget and your goals should determine how you army build and what's actually going to be attainable for you. So how do you get lots of minifigures without breaking the bank? The first and most important factor is patience. You need to do some research and figure out when you should be buying what and how you can get what you want for the least amount of money. You need to be willing to wait for deals, and you have to be paying attention to Bricklink, eBay, and retail stores depending on what you're army building. Choosing what figures you're going to build is going to determine a lot about what is and isn't possible. My recommendation is to army build the figures that you want to, of course, but if you can do it while they're still on shelves, it's going to give you a whole lot more options for saving money. Army building retired figures is almost always going to be more expensive, so if you can army build figures while they're still available on the shelves, you're going to have a much better time. More availability means lower prices, and that's exactly what we want. Buying figures that are still in production lets you use my favorite army building tactic, the part out method. If you can combine clearance purchasing with parting out sets, you can get some really cheap minifigures. If you watched my clone army building video, you'll notice that I had a friend who was helping me build all of the ATRTs and speeders from the 501st battle packs. I actually managed to get most of those battle packs for $13.50 a piece. Now I recognize that this is a crazy deal and not everyone's gonna find deals like this, but if you're really paying attention, these deals actually do come up every now and again. So at $13.50 a battle pack, I'm looking at $2.25 per minifigure because it's a battle pack that comes with 4 clones and 2 droids. That's already a fantastic deal, but what I did next made it even better. I sold all the ATRTs and speeders for $10 a pair. This put my cost down to $3.50 a battle pack before tax. That's about 58 cents per minifigure. That's an insane deal, and I fully recognize that I'm probably not going to get another deal like this for a while. But it really is possible for you to use the part out method to get some figures for cheap. Another example of this is the Clone Trooper command station that came out at the beginning of 2022. I bought a bunch of these last year. I got about half of them for $15 a pack, and then the other half was for $12 a pack when they went on clearance at the end of the year. I sold the builds from each of these packs for $3 a piece. This helped bring down my overall cost a little bit. I was only interested in keeping the plain phase 1 clones from these packs, so I bagged up all of the yellow clone commanders, and I'm just sitting on them for the time being. These clones are pretty inexpensive right now, so it's really not worth my time to try and go and sell them and make like $4 a figure. But since they're unassembled, bagged up, and considered to be brand new, my plan is to hold on to them for a couple of years and wait till they get to around $10 or so, then hopefully I can sell them and recoup most of my initial cost. Now that's not a plan that pays off immediately, but I do think it's a good strategy that will pay off in the long run. It should allow me to fund some future projects. So that's what I've got for things that are still in production, but what if you're trying to army build figures that are out of production? What are your options? I would say that it used to be garage sales and thrift stores. You used to be able to find some killer deals on stuff at those places. But with the internet being the way that it is now and information being so readily available, it's much harder to find a deal at those places. People know that Lego is worth money because it's all over the internet, so they charge more money. And even thrift stores like Goodwill pull all of their good stuff before it goes out and they put it on their own online auction website. The best places to look for a good deal these days seems to be either Facebook Marketplace or eBay. If you can find a good lot of sets on eBay or especially Marketplace, you can buy it, keep what you want, and flip the rest to cover your costs. I would say this is easier done on Marketplace because competition is pretty steep on eBay, so you have to be really quick on those deals. With these types of purchases, knowledge is power. You need to know what you're looking at, how much it's worth, and if the margins are going to be significant enough to make it worth your time and money. Other options you should keep an eye on are Bricklink and Lego Pick-a-Brick Online. With Bricklink, you can order individual figures and you can add things to your wanted list. Using wanted list can help you save on shipping because if you're shopping around for other things on Bricklink and you have something on your wanted list, it'll actually tell you if you're on a store and if they have your figure in stock. This way you're not making multiple purchases from multiple places. Hopefully you can find what you need from sellers that you're already buying from. If you're a castle army builder, now is a great time to be ordering from Lego's Pick-a-Brick online service. You can buy minifigures from most of the in-production non-licensed sets. I bought parts to piece together 50 Black Falcon Knights with armor and everything, and it only cost me around $3 to $4 a figure. If you're a Star Wars army builder, you can save some really good money by going custom. For example, the standard Phase 2 clone from Lego goes for about $30 each on Bricklink at the moment. If you want to get a bunch of figures, $30 each is way too much money. One option that I've considered is using the body and the head from the Phase 1 clones that I already own, and then just buying some custom helmets from Clone Army Customs. These figures look just about as good as the ones from Lego. This is a much cheaper option, and I can just swap out the helmets as I need them. Another way to build a clone army is to go the decal route. You can use water slide decals and they look pretty good from what I've seen. This is a very cost-effective way to get a lot of figures. It will involve some labor on your part, but you're not going to be spending anywhere near the aftermarket prices of official Lego figures. And you can make whatever clone you want as long as there's a design out there for it. Another option you can use is parting figures together. You can look at Bricklink and over time you can piece figures together and maybe even swap out regular heads for black heads to save a little bit of money there. The possibilities are endless with this option, but you have to make sure it's worth it. The last thing you need for your army is weapons. Lego can be pretty basic with their weapon design, so I found myself going the customs route. Custom weapons can be pretty expensive, but they look so much better than what Lego has to offer. I've bought from most of the major customs makers, and my favorite by far has to be Brick Tactical. I like their products so much that I actually reached out to them and asked them if they'd be willing to work with me. My favorite thing about their customs parts is that they try to keep things affordable compared to other customs makers. Their average price comes out to be about 50 cents per blaster. This is half of what you would spend at other customs makers. Sometimes you can even save as much as 75% over other customs makers. This is perfect for army building. You're not sacrificing on quality either because their parts are injection molded and they're made here in the US using the same ABS plastic that Lego uses. And if you use my code FIRE, you'll get 10 free blasters with your purchase of $35 or more. I had a conversation with Peyton, who's the owner of Brick Tactical, and he told me about some of the future projects that he's got in the works, and there's some really exciting stuff coming down the line. Definitely keep an eye out on the website or follow Brick Tactical on Instagram so you don't miss out. Let me know down in the comment section below what tactics you use to grow your Lego armies. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I hope you have a good one.